What up, folks? It's Dr. Remy LeBeau. I'm coming at you once again from the X-Layer to provide you my thoughts on the new trailer for Justice League. The Justice League film that's coming out next month in November. For those of you that may not know much about this film, it's a very unique sort of thing because it's going to be the product of two different filmmakers. Zack Snyder, famous for 300, Watchmen, going back to even the Dawn of the Dead remake, which I fucking love. I love that fucking movie. One of my favorite zombie movies. As we know, did Man of Steel, did Batman v Superman, and then started to do this film, the Justice League film. And somewhere along the way, Warner Brothers, I think, realized that they were just going down the wrong direction with the whole Justice League universe, and that they needed to make a course correction. Now, whether or not Zack Snyder actually stepped away because of that, or because of the tragedy in his life, which I did make a video about and I spoke about, and I genuinely feel sorrow for the loss of a child through suicide. That is horrible. But whether or not, like, whatever it is the reason why he actually did step away from this and has now allowed the film to go in a different direction, that opened the door for Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon is one of my favorite creators of all time. I watched Buffy as it was airing back in the day. Angel as well. Like, those were the thing for me. I was in film school at the time. I couldn't get enough of it. I fucking loved Buffy and Angel. Been a fan of Joss Whedon ever since. Was not in any way underestimating what he was going to do with the Avengers when they gave him the Avengers, even though it was the first time that he was directing a big budget film. He had directed the Serenity film, which was a sort of a conclusion, a sequel to his Firefly series that was short-lived on Fox, and that's it. That's the only filmic experience he had prior to the Avengers, and they gave him the Avengers, and I knew he was going to do a good job, and he did. He blew it out of the fucking water. It was fucking fantastic. Then he did Avengers 2. I really loved Avengers 2, and you can see my review of it the day I watched it. But over time, people have, I guess, lost their love for that film. I think partly because it felt a little bit like it was tapestry for the entire cinematic universe versus just like a self-contained story within that film. I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed it. I don't have any hate for that movie, and I love seeing it anytime I do see it. So that's great. But I know that because of like the fact that Marvel Studios itself was kind of pulling him in one direction, and he wanted to go in a different direction, that he did step away from the franchise, which is why he's no longer involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But now here he is stepping into the Justice League, right? He's done some reshoots, but apparently he's rewritten the script and maybe even reshot a lot of the film. So what I'm about to see in this trailer is going to be a reflection of what he did, with, again, sort of a shadow of Zack Snyder's influence over it. But I think ultimately what we are going to get is a Joss Whedon film, which is a great thing, to be honest. Like, I didn't love Batman v Superman. I still love Zack Snyder. I still love his approach to things. And like, I think that there were a lot of really awesome elements to Batman v Superman, but there was definitely a lot that was not that great. And explicitly, like, Doomsday, the handling of Doomsday was horrendous. Just the shoehorning of like the death of Superman into that. Sorry, that was spoilers. All that crap. It was just, it didn't quite work. And then Wonder Woman came out, and that was the next sort of chapter. Well, beyond Suicide Squad, which is a complete disaster. But Wonder Woman came out recently, and that was a huge hit. People love that movie. I am lukewarm about it. I'm still not completely sold on Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I apologize for that, but she never really resonated with me as Wonder Woman. She feels like she's trying to be Wonder Woman in my mind. But that film did do a great job of sort of legitimizing her within the film. I talked about that in my review, how, you know, by making all the Amazons have the same accent as her, it sort of it devalued like the impact that she personally had on the role in terms of kind of taking me out of the world. Because I would always see Gal Gadot instead of Wonder Woman prior to that. And then that movie did kind of make me see Wonder Woman, but I haven't been able to get to that movie again beyond the Amazon stuff. I love the Amazon stuff so much. I love that her first part of it, but I haven't been able to get through that film. I have it on Blu-ray. I haven't watched it. I don't really have a desire to watch it. I don't know. This whole, maybe it's just because the whole DC Cinematic Universe thing has not been what it could be, and that the magic of it doesn't exist yet. And maybe with this film and subsequent films, it'll start to kind of pull me back in, and like, and it'll give me that sort of magical feeling that I'm looking for, that draw that I need, you know, for repeat viewings and whatnot. Anyway, so here we go. I'm gonna review the trailer right now. And I'm going to give my thoughts as I'm watching it. I haven't seen it yet. This is going to be exciting. All right, let me... All right, we're about to get started here.
Let's do it.
Sorry, they do this like weird like trailer for the trailer business at the beginning of trailers now. It's so weird. I have no idea. Just like when you click on a trailer online and there's like a commercial before you watch the trailer, it's like, wait a minute, the trailer is a fucking commercial. You're showing me a commercial before a fucking commercial. No. Not okay. But anyway, here we go. I mean, the imagery is amazing. All right, here we go. Warner Brothers, DC. Yes, yes, yes. First thing we see is Martha. Oh my God, she's seeing Superman in the crops. Oh no, that's not Martha. That's Lois Lane. She's smiling. She's seeing Clark. This is beautiful. This is exactly what we need. Calm, bright.
I'll take that as a yes.
Moment.
What?
The ring.
Oh, it's a flashback. It's a flashback to her accepting his marriage proposal.
The world remains in mourning after the death of Superman.
Right. This happens right after the death.
And terrorism are all on the rise.
I had a dream. It was the end of the world.
Wow.
Invasion.
The Amazons.
I think it's something more. Something darker.
This feels different.
We're asking people we don't know to risk their lives.
Strong man, strong.
Wow.
You ever heard that? That's not a saying. That's the opposite of what the saying is. Divided, we are not enough. The world needs Superman. I made him a promise. This is why I brought you together. Ride ain't over yet. Amen.
Yes. Very good. Very good.
signal. That's your... Oh, sorry. It's your signal. That means we have to go now.
Yeah, that's what that means.
It's so cool.
All right. I'm feeling. There's a different feeling about this. There's a different feeling about it, even though the imagery is very obviously very Zack Snyder, because he did shoot a lot of it, and a lot of it was completed already. Like, if you go back to that first trailer, that was all Zack Snyder. That was before Joss Whedon never came in. But like, you're seeing, like, I'm seeing brightness in the world. I'm seeing emphasis on the characters, like, not just like, look how cool I can make this sequence and look how dark the world is, which works in some context, but not for the Justice League. It does work for Batman. It works for The Watchmen. It works for 300. It works for Dawn of the Dead. You know, maybe even Sucker Punch, which I didn't love. But it doesn't work for Justice League. Justice League is about hope, man. Like, it's exactly what the Avengers were about. And this is even more than that. You know, I never thought of the Avengers as like the quintessential superhero group. I thought of the Justice League as such, because why? Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, they are the legendary characters. They are the characters that were introduced first, before any of Marvel, you know, before the X-Men, even though, fuck, I love the X-Men, goddammit. But these are the characters that sort of pave the way for what the world has become now in relation to superhero lore. You know, it's become a super important component of our culture, in not just the US, but throughout the world. And like, these characters deserve their place within that new sort of elevation of the status of superhero lore within the culture. And this movie may finally do that for them collectively. Obviously, Batman has had some great runs in film. So has Superman. But we've never gotten a sort of a collective vision of them together that we can all kind of get behind and celebrate and say, yes, these are the quintessential, like, this is the quintessential superhero team. You know, this is like the team that defines what it is to be heroic within the context of this lore that we're all sort of plugged into in one way or another, right? Some of us a little bit more than others, but, you know, whatever. But yeah, like that just the way it started with that flashback, and like the emphasis on Lois, and like the emphasis on understanding, oh, there's a world after Superman, and it's been hurt by Superman's absence, and sort of the character moments that we got after that. It was very much about, let's focus on who these people are. You know, who are they that we can connect to, that we can identify with, and then enjoy the world that they live in, enjoy the imagery that surrounds them, enjoy, you know, the Justice League film. So I have high hopes for this film, given this trailer. I have really high hopes for it. It's not that much different from the last trailer, but there were subtle undertones to it that definitely change the feeling of this universe, which is what it needed. It really did need that. So I think this is going to work out. It's going to work out for me anyway. I'm going to watch it. Obviously, I'm going to watch this movie the night it comes out. But I hope it becomes, you know, the success that it deserves to be, because again, these characters deserve that. They deserve that at this present time to be elevated. But obviously not above Marvel at this point, because what Marvel has done is revolutionary. You know, they have allowed for this to be possible. Something that Warner Brothers was never able to actualize, and they just never did it, because they just didn't have the balls to do it. They didn't realize that they could do it. They didn't know how to do it. And Marvel cracked the code. And what they've done is beyond anything that Warner Bros. Is doing now. Like, it's just, I mean, we're talking about this interconnected world of even like fringe characters that have been elevated to legendary status. Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, Thor, even Iron Man was not anything before the first film. Like, I mean, he was amongst comic book readers, but really nothing beyond that. And so we like, at this point, like, even though this film may elevate these Warner Brothers characters to the level that they deserve to be elevated to, like, you can never take away, and this will never supplant Marvel in this cinematic realm as like the leader, the one that like allowed for all of this to happen, and is still a trailblazer in my mind. Anyway, so that's my reaction to this trailer. And you know, people often say, "Oh, I've gotten comments online about how much I tend to talk before I actually get to what the video's about." And like, for me, it's all about contextualizing my thoughts. Like, I don't like to just start talking. I want to lay a groundwork for what it is that this video is meant to do. Again, this is meant to give my reaction to this trailer, but also give my thoughts on the overall DC cinematic universe, because I'm not constantly talking about these things on my channel. So this is my chance to kind of sum up my thoughts on what's been happening, and we'll see what goes forward. We'll see what goes forward. I think this is a good film. This is going to be a good film. We're going to love it, and it's going to further build a momentum for this franchise, which will be great for us superhero lovers. Hey, I've got DC stuff on because I like DC as well. I'm not just a Marvel guy, even though I am primarily a Marvel guy and primarily an X-Men fan. Anyway, thanks for checking out my video. Thanks for checking out my channel. You can subscribe down there if you haven't already done so. And as always, I'd like to remind you, if you haven't already, you better put an X in that box, ladies and germs, because ain't nobody checking me. Take care. Bye-bye. Bam!